Yeah, so I've definitely spent a lot of time in the US, and I grew up here, so I kind of have a good understanding of both. The US, I mean, fine, it's way ahead of Pakistan in many aspects, but in a way it took its own path, right? And that doesn't mean Pakistan needs to follow the US in all the things that it does.
Okay.
Pakistan is its own unique economy. There are very many things that make Pakistan different to the US, to the UK, to Western economies. And we should kind of celebrate that in a sense, but build around it and take these unique opportunities that come our way and tailor products for this market. There's no one size fits all solution for every market. What works in the US might not necessarily work in Pakistan. And as entrepreneurs, as people who are going down that route, we need to be cognizant of that fact and think about how we can kind of build products to fit the needs of the people in our market and ultimately not only build a solution that works in Pakistan, but who knows, that solution might work in regional economies around Pakistan as well.
So my experience was in the UK. Completely agree with Ziad. There's not some one size fits all solution, and I've actually relocated here for the last year and a half now. And again, with the 1 year that I spent in the transport and logistics sector, you really have the opportunity to interact with the real economy, and these are people who are dealing exclusively on cash, very little documentation. So that is one complete polar opposite with what's happening in more advanced economies. And with kind of government initiatives, obviously there is a move towards pushing towards kind of increased documentation in our economy, which is a good thing, and inevitably will have to happen. However, in the interim, what I think startups can do is, again, work around these, find solutions for these. And I think something I see, and I think it's actually a very exciting space because Pakistan, there's a lot of opportunity. One, because of the demographics. Two, because actually the names of the companies we've mentioned like Stripe or PayPal, they are hesitant to come here because they don't understand the local factors. We have the benefit. We've both grown up over here. We kind of understand the local dynamic, and we don't see the kind of what in quotation marks you would see as challenges as roadblocks. We see them as ways to actually tailor our product to increase adoption. And that's very much how we see SafePay going forward. One thing I would like to mention though is that I think from a policy framework, the kind of policy drafters need to move from just drafting policies and wishing that some things are implemented to actual meaningful action and within time limits, because we hear of all these frameworks and these policies and these kind of glossy documents, but we don't see enough action on them. And having been in the UK myself, and I was dealing with the financial regulator very closely over there, the framework for creating policies and implementation itself was almost an industry, at which no expense was spared as well, and that resulted in tangible results, and that is what makes a difference. It's great having brilliant ideas, but at SafePay in particular, ideas are just 1% of the solution. 99% is execution and actually getting things through the door. So that's something I think we'd like to see an increase of over here, and hopefully the entrepreneurs and members of Tech Pakistan see this and see that there is scope for that development.
Excellent.
I would just say basically, if you have a passion, if you're interested in things, follow it, explore it. If you're curious, stay curious. And now because of how technology has been able to democratize and make things much simpler and accessible to everyone, take advantage of that. Learn things yourself, and ultimately, if you want to go down the startup entrepreneurial route, find people like you in the same mindset to work with you. Reach out to us whenever. We're always available, happy to help and guide you in any way we can. I would just say continue to do what you're doing.
Excellent.
So I've been involved with Tech Pakistan for the last few months, since the end of 2019. I found it to be a very noble cause which we need over here essentially. So when I think of entrepreneurship, the next thing which I think of is the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So for example, for SafePay, we need to find resource which helps us achieve our goals, and to the extent we are using that resource, for them to be better trained, for them to be more knowledgeable, it just benefits us. And likewise, our e-commerce merchants who use SafePay, if we provide a better product, they benefit from that. And it's this whole chain. And I think Tech Pakistan is, very important in making those links. We're looking to explore our relationship with them further for our own kind of, product pipeline and resource pipeline. And again, we want to actually contribute to it as well, because I think it's a responsibility for us as well. Like, yes, we want to benefit from being in this market, creating kind of a product which is adopted broadly. But at the same time, as Ziad had mentioned earlier in the interview, it's part of a way we can give back as well. Not through cash, not through what you would directly think as a contribution, but I think spaces like this are super important for exchange of knowledge, exchange of inspiration as well. Because as Ziad also mentioned, running a startup is challenging, and you will hit a lot of roadblocks. You will hear a lot of noise saying that don't pursue it. But then when you meet members like Mukanwal Saab and other kind of esteemed members of Tech Pakistan, you really get the inspiration to continue. And hopefully, that hopefully that's the story for everyone who's a member of the Tech Pakistan community.
Yeah. And from my perspective, I want to kind of say that if the likes of Silicon Valley are an aggregation, an accumulation of people of like-minded engineers, product managers, whatever, in like a physical space, and Tech Pakistan is doing that for like in a digital space where it might not have a specific area of Pakistan devoted to that, but on an online digital world, people are able to consolidate and congregate in the space that you guys have provided, which is great because you don't have to have a physical location. That's the point of technology. It connects people wherever they are. And with the kind of services you're providing with meetup spaces, and like you said, you're now in over 10 cities, you have that ability for people to kind of come together and meet people who they might not ever have met and explore new opportunities. That is going to be huge, because right now I feel like a lot of the talent in Pakistan, it's there, but it's so dispersed. And someone needs to bring it together, and I think you guys are best positioned to make that happen.